Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, July 5th. The president of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, Mary Najimy, is our guest this morning. She's leading more than 100,000 educators through the coronavirus pandemic and has a list of conditions for reopening schools this fall. But do they coincide with the governor's? Let's go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR for this Sunday morning. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu. And yes, we do continue to respect social distancing protocols here in our studio here at Needham. You can see the great distance between all of us. The president of the Massachusetts Teachers Association is the woman in the middle right now, Mary Najimy. She joins us this morning. She was just reelected to her second term in that position and spent nearly 3 decades as a classroom teacher herself. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a very important topic we should talk about.
It is such an important topic. I'm glad to be here.
So let's get right to it. You're not happy with Governor Baker's guidelines for schools reopening this fall. Can you give us your top 3 objections and very briefly why?
Yeah, so first and foremost, educators want nothing more to be back in space with our students. There is broad consensus amongst educators, students, families, the medical community, and the department that that's the best way to learn, but it can't come at the expense of health and safety. And right now, the commissioner and the governor's plan don't meet strict enough standards.
I assume that you are not happy with the spacing between students, et cetera, but the Academy, the American Academy of Pediatrics, known for its usually conservative recommendations, sides with Baker on most of these points, saying 3 feet is sufficient, 6 feet is not necessary if the students are wearing masks and if the teachers have masks, and having kids learn remotely would definitely be more harmful. So how do you respond to that?
Right. So it's nuanced. Certainly, it's a respectable institution, the AAP. However, what all scientists agree upon is that the virus is emerging. There is not yet consensus in the science. The AAP does not actually have practical experiences in school, and just as they are coming out announcing their support, although it's important to note they are not absolutists. They say things like the goal is to bring students back, and that we believe that children are not vectors. The next day we see in the Globe that 8%, nearly actually 10% of children in Department of Children and Family facilities contracted COVID. So there is no real consensus on what's safe.
So are you saying, in other words, that the students should be at least 6 feet apart, or they should not be in the classroom, period?
No, in an ideal situation, we want to bring students back together in the buildings, but we cannot relax the standards to risk everybody's health and safety. We have to remember this isn't just about kids. Kids bring the virus to their parents, who bring it back to the communities where they work in, and educators the same. If educators contract the virus in the buildings, they go home to other communities. It's just too risky not to have enough health and safety protocols.
So you've said the preference obviously is to have the students in the building, in the classroom, and have face-to-face learning. Can I read into that remote learning is less effective? What do we know about remote learning now that we didn't know 3 months ago?
What we have confirmed that we did know is the best way to learn is when people are together in the classroom. Learning is an emotional process. It's a cooperative process. You lose too much by having kids be in home behind a screen. Homes are not conducive to learning when you have multiple kids in a family and parents home all trying to work. And the kids for whom school is the physically most safe to be, they have been home with their trauma being deepened by the pandemic.
So are you saying 6 feet would be better and that you would be acceptable with masks, of course, and other, stipulations in place? Or are you saying not even 6 feet is appropriate?
6 feet is going to be a challenge, but that has to be the minimum. And what it's really going to take is full funding, as well as we've had 2,000 educators at least laid off just since 2-3 weeks ago. We cannot go back to school safely without full funding, without full staff, and without real strong safety protocols in place and protective equipment.
So let's talk about the academy. It also says reducing student interactions in elementary schools doesn't provide enough COVID risk reduction to justify potential harm. Is the academy wrong?
You know, I think the Academy has one point of view. But again, the science continues to change as the disease continues to change. So what we really need to do is look at a phased-in approach. If the economy is opening on a phased-in approach, then we can open public schools on a phased-in approach.
Which means like you bring in just X number of students, X minus, you know, like 4 or whatever the number might be?
It means a variety of things. Educators in schools actually need much more time to plan new curriculum that's going to deal with the emotional trauma that kids are experiencing. Now in this moment of Black Lives Matter, it's an opportunity to change our curriculum to be a more anti-racist, anti-bias focus. We need to be able to figure out how to set up the classrooms and then bring kids in a little bit at a time to teach them the protocols, to teach them the new routines, to get them acclimated so that when more kids are back together, it will go better.
Let's talk about your objections about insufficient funds from the state to provide all staff and teachers with personal protective equipment and other things that are needed. The Baker administration says there's plenty of money in its $202 million to help schools reopen. Is the governor wrong? Is the money too little?
The money is too little, and much of it is competitive grants. Now is not a time for competition. If this were a hurricane, a tornado, a flood, the federal government would step in and pay for all of what it takes to mitigate. We have to have the same expectations of the state.
What's your number?
We don't have a hard and fast number, but it's the obligation of the state to figure out what the number is and then fully fund it, not just say, here's a pool and it gets shared.
I'm sorry, if you don't know what the number is, then how do you know 200 million is not enough?
Well, you know, there was a report in the Globe several weeks back of an administration association that, in a state association of administrators, who estimated $1.8 billion in PPE is what it would take for the average school size district. If you think we have just about 400 school districts, multiply that times 1.8, that's far more than $2 million.
You mentioned this a little earlier, but let's talk about layoffs all across the state. 2,000 educators get pink slips last month. What hope do you have that Beacon Hill will come through to save most of these jobs, which I'm sure you agree are vital to the system?
So Beacon Hill has both a constitutional obligation at minimum to fully fund the Student Opportunity Act, which was signed into law in the fall, and then they have the ability to raise progressive revenues on wealthy individuals and corporations in Massachusetts, which we saw with the Fair Share Amendment as a very popular idea with Massachusetts voters.
So I assume it'll be even that far more difficult to teach under this new normal with obviously fewer teachers because there's fewer monies, and that creates the layoffs, which means there are fewer teachers. So I assume it's going to create even more of an issue inside the classroom.
Right. We have to recognize that deep problems existed because of disinvestment in public schools before the pandemic. Those are now exacerbated. We are being asked to do even more with less than what we had in the past, and that wasn't sufficient in the past.
It's a simple thing, like how can a teacher be required to tell the second grader to keep a mask on his or her face?
This is the central core of education. You build relationships with your students, and when you have relationships of love and trust, new routines and things like this will go better. It's not going to be perfect, but if we don't have time to rebuild the relationships, then nothing else is going to work after that.
We've been showing some video throughout our conversation this morning here, and we've shown traditional classrooms. The classroom in September of this year, is it going to look like what we have just been showing?
It can't. School in general cannot look like it looked in the past. And I think now is the moment to recognize that the intersection of COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter has exposed both the structural racism and classism that has been existing in society that's replicated in schools. Schools were broken before because of a lack of investment. They didn't serve all kids well, and they certainly can't serve all kids well now with even fewer resources and fewer staff.
Have you, has the MTA put together a plan and offered something to the administration or to the state to say this is what a classroom should look like, this is how far apart the kids should be, this is how many children should be in a classroom, and more specifically, exactly what still needs to be purchased for each of the schools?
Yes, the MTA is working right now with our over 300 local teachers unions to develop the plan that calls for a phased-in start, the opportunity for teachers to plan, learn new curriculum. It will outline what we need for funding, what we need for health and safety protocols, how we have to make accommodations for both educators who are immunocompromised or in high-risk categories, as well as students. So we're putting this together, and we do have meetings with the commissioner to really try to bargain at a state level much more consistency around health, safety, and wellness of all students and educators.
When will we see this? I mean, it is July 5th.
Yes, you know, it's coming in the next week and beyond, but again, I want to caution us, we did not rush into opening the state economy. We cannot rush into opening schools just because the calendar says we have to return to school by August or September.
Mary Najimy is with us, and we're on the record this morning. Stay with us.